Charlie, we're done. We're done our program at NAC. Just tell us why you're so excited, why you decided to, take a risk and invest in NAC. Put your money where your mouth is.
Well, I mean, I guess the main thing is, it's a really good asset that deposit or emerging deposit. The NAC porphyry system is pretty outstanding in terms of size. The best grade in it comes right to surface, which is a huge plus. I think we can extend that and link that up to some of the good grade stuff that's at a little deeper, and it goes way down. I think we can put it together, and really what it needs is a systematic big program. So we know there's a long stretch north-south of mineralization, quite a stretch east-west, and we know it goes to depth. And at all depths within that system, and at the north end and the south end, there's very good grades in gold and copper. Well, copper and gold, so it's a copper gold porphyry. But knowing that, we also realize it's a big system, and really to put the pieces together, you need a systematic drill program. So the company needs to raise a bit more money to do that. We could do a similar size program to what we did the last 2 years with what we got in the bank. So there's enough money there to do that. But I really think it needs more, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is because it's such a good system with a lot of upside. And it's a good time to invest right now. I mean, if anybody listening knows anything about the junior mining market right now, prices are depressed, so you get a lot of bang for your buck. And I can just envisage that this thing is going to go places. This is a deposit, or an emerging deposit, that will be able to be mined. The company has a good relationship with the local First Nation in that local area. It's very well situated, the deposit, in terms of infrastructure and where you could actually make a mine. So the other side of it is, when you compare something like this to other deposits in the province, I mean, it's very workable. Instead of talking about steep mountains and ice fields and glaciers, when you're talking NAC, you're talking about logging roads and clear cuts. I mean, it's just so much easier and less expensive to explore. So you get way more bang for your buck that way. And to develop it, I think the same thing. It would be way less pricey in terms of developing it. And I think the other side of it is, we have a partner, or the company has a partner, Teck, who knows what they're doing in terms of mining copper in BC. They've been doing it for a long time. And and they've stuck with the company on a couple of raises, and I think they'll continue to stick with it. So, that's vetted the project to me. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. They've invested, so why shouldn't other people? I love it.
Well, thanks a lot, Charlie, and thanks for believing in us, and thanks for the investment. We have Charlie Gregg here, who's involved with GT Gold, sold to Newmont a couple of years ago. No one with a better track record in BC, or not many than Charlie Gregg. And we got Teck. There's no company based out of BC with a better track record. So two great partners. And Charlie said, look, it'd be nice to have a bigger program. We'll see how the markets treat us, how our stock price, and how our assays come out. We don't need more money. We want more money. It'd be nice to have these big grids, these big drill programs. But, we got to look after our cap structure, and we'll see what happens. But we're looking forward for these next 5 assays to come out. We really do believe that we're onto something great here, and we're just trying to get the market to know that we exist and just know what NAC is. But Charlie, really quickly, if we do a systematic grid, north to south or south to north, across, the zone that we already know has a lot of great grade. A lot of investors come back and they want higher copper. We give them higher copper. They want scale. We showed them scale. And next they want longer high grade. Like, there is a high grade fire somewhere supporting all this widespread mineralization. And I heard you say before, the best way to get to that is just stick to the plan, go south to north, drill across it, and you'll eventually fall into it if it's there. Can you just expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I think, as you drill something, I mean, NAC had a fair number of pretty widespread shallow drill holes from previous operators, close to 80, I would think. And but they weren't all focused on the zone that we were drilling. So the holes that we've drilled have been much deeper, and they've been sort of focused mainly on the one north-south trend that is maybe 700 or 750 meters from south to north, maybe a little more. But that's still a big block of rock when you think about going to depth. So it's a big box. That's a huge volume, and you can hide a lot down there. Plus, we don't have great surface exposure. So we're just building our understanding of that system in that area, which I think has yielded us 17 out of 17 drill holes have hit nice intercepts. Not always the very highest grade. So that shows that there's some more understanding to be gained, and part of that understanding will come after we look and analyze all the data that's come back from this year. As you say, five holes have not been assayed or put out yet, so we haven't seen all that, and so an understanding will come out of that when we put that together with our previous drilling and with any of the holes that were drilled more shallowly in that same area. So we're just building that understanding, and at this point it comes down to, okay, we've got a lot of good holes here. How are we going to actually put a resource together, and how are we actually going to track the higher grade parts of it that we've hit? And that's just through systematic drilling and targeting that with the data and the interpretations that come out of it, including some more recent IP that we've done, which has shown along that north-south trend where we've hit, we see a geophysical signature that, where the best numbers kind of come out in no matter what section or what drill hole you put on it, kind of come out in in an IP chargeability, resistivity setting that is similar from one section to another. So, using knowledge like that to target our future holes, I think we can build on something and actually drill in close enough spacing that we could ultimately put out a resource. And you can only really do that on a big system like this by drilling enough holes, and it'll take more than just another 6,000 meters or something like that. We need to drill more. So that takes money, but it's money well spent. And you are very efficient drilling in a place like this where you can drag the drill around without a helicopter, and you can drive your core back to the core shack and drive the core from the core shack down to the truck that takes it to the lab. So pretty inexpensive, good value you get for your exploration dollar.
So we're spending a little bit of time and some money on the off season. It's not sexy work. It's not work a lot of investors, care to really hear about. They want to hear the assays. A lot of it's, on the computers, making sure the database is clean, but making that proper model. But before we ever drilled there were a lot of holes. You said about 80, but average depth is 165 meters. And when we went there, 4 of our 7 holes were straight vertical. And another 2 of those 7 were just along a fence. There's only one incline. And then this year, all of our holes were inclined. So we're adding a lot more information. So just tell us a little bit about this work we're doing in the off season and why it's really going to help you, Neil, and the rest of the team out really kind of pinpoint where to drill.
Yeah, this isn't, it's not really rocket science. It is sort of science driven, but it's pretty practical kind of applied science. Re-looking at some of the core if we don't feel we fully understand that, trying to link up various geological elements, mineralization, alteration, lithology from hole to hole, and then hopefully from section to section. Just looking at all that stuff, all the downhole geochemical data, comparing that to what we've logged, trying to put the pieces together, to drive our understanding and therefore help our targeting down the road. So, and then taking all that data and sort of plotting it up on sections or plan views or whatever against the geophysical data. Just like I alluded to in my last comments, that hey, you know, this is a surprise. We plot up the sections, and it looks like a shoulder of resistivity where you're going towards a higher chargeability. That seems to be where you know, the best grade in a number of holes on a number of sections sits. And you know, on many of those sections, if you kept plotting those sections up from south to north or east west sections, you would see that, you know, we either missed that part by a little bit, you know, no fault of our own. We just took our best stab at it, or you know, it's never been drilled. So, you know, when I see something like that, I go, okay, well, there's a nice target. Let's put a hole there and see what's there. It's worked on the other sections. Why can't it work on this one? And so that's the kind of thing we'd do, is just start with what's our next best hole to drill, and then after we get that information back, then what's our following next best hole. And when you're drilling longer holes, you know, that takes time. So in order to get that kind of larger meterage, you know, we'd probably want to do it with a couple of rigs. So that takes a bit more money, but again, money well spent. And there's some cost savings if you're, you know, supplying 2 rigs. You've got some savings because you're sort of, you know, got the crew there. So everything's shaping up to be able to do that, and I think it's the way to go.
I believe there's going to be an inflection point. I think people are going to really believe in that, like you do and Tech do and I do. And we're going to do this drilling this year, those incline 800, 900 meter holes across our property, south to north. But after that, you know, I think we'll see a big change in how people value our company. Look around at our competitors. I believe we are pulling some of the best stuff in BC, let alone Canada, out of the ground. Then you get the confidence of the market, and then you start going really deep, and you start hitting those 800 meter holes, and it forces you to drill those 1400 meter holes, like they drilled at Red Chris and at Escobal, and you really start hitting that treasure box. But one step at a time. Thank you very much for your investment, for your belief, and your technical support, Charlie. With me here is Charlie Gregg. I'm Anthony Morrow. Follow NAC, American Eagle Gold on the TSX Venture under the symbol AE. Thanks, Charlie.